We are live in living color. Welcome to another fantastic episode of This Week in Reselling, where we'll have a little help from my friends. Here we'll discuss the highs and lows of reselling and dive into great conversation. We are positive you're going to hear something that's going to help you become a better reseller. My name is Ray, and I'm joined with three of my co-hosts here. We got my boy, Joe, with I Flip That.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
We have Brandon Big Time Flips in the building.
Yo, I hope that's real.
And
money.
we have your girl, Kristen. Oh, your girl, Kristen, a rural squirrel.
This girl is on fire.
And our guest for today, we have Liz with Colorado Reworn. Is it Colorado Reworn? Colorado Reworn.
Yes. Hey,
Look at you with the sign.
I'm prepared.
Look at that.
you have on
Love
today?
it. I love it.
Brendan, we didn't talk. We should have talked. I even looked at him today too.
That's on us.
Signs.
That's on us.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's great handwriting, Liz.
I know. Oh, it took like 3 tries, so
Yeah.
you guys didn't make fun of me. Like, oh, did your dog do that?
Even on my third try, it wouldn't even come close to that. Mine's
Yeah,
so
that's
bad.
amazing.
Terrible.
Especially with the marker, use the
Oh yeah.
edge. I love it.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
calligraphy and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You guys got my best.
Yes.
Don't
love it.
ever expect it again.
Okay.
So Liz, there's a lot to get to, eBay, like, what do you call yourself? Like an eBay partner,
Seller?
eBay. I mean, besides that, but you're like in cahoots with the people with the fat cats over at the eBay Corporation.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know it. I'm just an eBay lucky seller, I
Okay.
guess. Honestly, I like
think
all
you
of my
just
happenings with
cultivate
eBay.
good relationships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love
That's
that.
what you
Yeah.
do.
I love that.
Not just
And
with
you got-
eBay. I think you do that with people that you resonate with.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking beforehand about your incredible inventory setup though.
Yeah.
Tell us
That's-
about it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I have just under 1,300 listings, but probably about 1,500, 1,600 inventory because I do have some multi-quantity. I'm fortunate. I live in Colorado, so we have basements. Pretty much almost every house has a basement. Ours is finished. It's a smaller. We were like, got the neighborhood we wanted, but got the smallest house in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it's decent. But I've kind of taken over the basement. We have an unfinished room and a full bathroom down here. So the unfinished room, I have totes 1 through 50. And then in this room, this is my work office. This is 51 through 110. And then my photography, little photography booth there. And
Okay.
Very
Like
nice.
a full
Yeah,
stand-up
desk.
photography booth.
Can we look at
Yeah.
the photography booth a little
You
bit?
get to
yeah, let's see if I
in
can.
there?
Well, I mean, it
Yeah.
mainly does clothes.
Oh,
It
the
makes-
big one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then my mess, but whatever.
That's what you
we
need,
all
Squirrel.
have
You
them.
need one of those in your little nut hut.
I don't trust sellers that have well, I shouldn't say that. I respect sellers that can keep a very clean and organized work center.
I don't have room for it because I just have the whole big wall. So I just
Oh, gotcha.
can't put my my big lamp lights
Yeah.
over there so that I can take pictures. And then I hang it on the towel bar
Mhm.
so I can hang blankets or towels and then the hanger so that I can put clothes
love
up there
it.
too. Yeah.
How do
You
you
just
do
take-
you hang it in there, Liz, or do you do like the flat lay with the?
Yeah, I do both. It really just depends on what the item is. I have a clothing rack right outside this door. So this is a bedroom that we converted into the office, took the doors off the closet. But right outside this door, I keep a clothing rack. And I just have a process where I just hang everything up, steam it if it needs it, bring in a handful. And normally there's clothes just hanging all across here. And then I have a bucket that I have on the floor. So when it's done, I toss it, and that's what needs to be done. But yeah, so that's how I kind of mostly clothing. And I just use a hanger. I have a mannequin. And quite honestly, I find mannequins a chore.
Yep. Same. I have like 4 or 5 mannequins that I take with me to junk stock, and I have one that I would bring in and I would take photos on. And it is okay for some things that don't hang well, that like have cold shoulders or something. But
Cold
Nah,
shoulders.
I don't
Yeah.
always use them.
I just use
Yeah,
a.
mine's a.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, mine's a headless one that has magnetic arms, so that's great. And I
Oh.
have a Lazy Susan that the base stands on. And
That's
even
a
then,
good
it's just a pain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I just sold a $200 suit. I had it on hangers.
Mhm.
I didn't even feel like dressing her. I was like, no.
Does she
Yeah.
have a
Have you
name?
ever?
I've always called all my mannequins Mona,
Mona.
Yeah.
Monica, Mona the mannequin.
So,
It's like Mona
what number
Lisa.
Mona are you on now? Like
Probably 3.
3? Okay.
And I'm just done with them, I think. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they're
Do you
okay.
ever model the clothes? I've been seeing that a lot lately, where
That's
people
too
are
much
actually
work.
modeling the clothes that they're wearing, they're selling.
Well, I think, don't you think that works better if it's like your clothes, like your
Yeah.
size?
I
Your
mean, that
clothes?
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how
Two
you
things
attract weirdos though too.
Yeah, I mean, but
Mhm.
here's the thing, it takes too much time, right?
Hmm.
And I'm not selling $500 items. Let's
Mhm.
just be perfectly clear here. You know, I can still sell a $200 item hanging on a department store hanger.
Yeah.
2, there's so many AI model generators out there now.
We were just talking about this yesterday. You guys should see the pictures that she sent a picture. She sent a picture of just a shirt that she laid down, did like a flat lay, just like a normal shirt. And then she's like, told AI to put it on a mannequin. Oh, what?
Really?
It looked great.
On a model.
Do you have that picture?
On a
Liz?
model.
Do you have it still on your
Or is
phone?
it on your Instagram at all anywhere?
Or where
Here,
is
let
it?
me see. No, it's not on my Instagram, but as we're talking, I can just pull it up on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably
If I
gave
can
away all
find
your
it. It was a
secrets.
while
I was
back.
like, can you believe this? This was so
Well, I know
incredible.
that you used what is that photo room to do the shadows. I think that's really
Mhm.
cool.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I like to do the shadows. Gives it a little bit of depth.
I think
But-
it
real
makes
quick.
it a little more real. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that we're asking a lot of questions. I want to ask
Um,
the photo area that you have for the people that
Yeah.
are looking to buy one. Tell us a little bit about it. Like, does that work for you, or is it,
Yeah,
because I know
so-
that you like to test a lot of things. And
yes.
Is that a number one, like a good thing to have?
So really quick, when I first started selling, it was literally you just lay crap on the floor, right?
Mhm.
And you just vacuum and you did it on the floor and you were good to
I
go. You
still
didn't
do
move the
that.
background.
Just saying.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right? My problem was I started as a part-time seller, so I either took pictures at 4 in the morning or at
Mhm.
10 at night
Mm-hmm.
where there was no light, and
No
the light
light.
that I had was horrible.
The
So
same
then it
thing.
was like, okay, now I got to take it during the weekends. And when I came full time, I mean, this is a basement. I get no light in here. So I
Mhm.
needed lighting consistency. And I had the big umbrella lights. You guys remember the big, and I was
Mhm.
tripping over them all the time. And finally, I found this about 5 years ago. So probably 18, 19 is when I got this. And the pros and cons. So they've come down in price. I think I paid $500 for mine back then. Even back then, it was worth every penny. The first 10 pictures I took, I was like, sold, done.
Mm.
This is great because it's consistent lighting all the time. 24/7, I can take pictures. Downside, well, plus side is you can turn it on and off. And these are just knocking on this wood. These are the same exact lights that I've had for 5 years. I haven't had to replace anything.
That's pretty awesome.
The bottom's kind of scratched up, but since I use a background, like to add the shadows, it takes it off anyways. Bad side is it's huge, right? So if anybody's considering it, make sure you have enough room. This thing is like 7 feet tall. Okay, I'm short, so maybe it's like 6, but
6 feet
you
tall.
know,
It's
read
not
the
mobile.
dimensions. And it's not mobile. If you take this down, you're going to take 3 hours to put it back up. I'm never going to take
Yeah.
it down.
It's probably not a good for like a part-time reseller that has to take things down, put things up.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend it. And for limited space, right?
Right.
Yeah. If you've got
Mhm.
designated areas to do this in, then it'd
Yeah.
probably work out better. But
Yeah, and if you're who wants to invest, I think they're like $300 now. You can probably find them for like $280 on sale. But even then, that's a really big expense, right? When your goal is to make $300 a month,
yeah,
that can be a big expense.
But I know that, I've gone through so many ring lights.
Mm.
Like I mean, I have a ring light right here that just quit working and I don't know what's wrong with it. And I had to buy a new one. So it's like, if you get
It's not
the
the
right
bulb?
thing, if you spend the money first off, right in the start, you're
Yes.
gonna save money in the long run. That's how I always see everything,
Yep.
right? It's like
Yep.
with buying cars or buying a phone or if you get the good thing up front, you're not gonna waste money in the back end. That's how I always see it.
Well, and we think we all agree that that is one of the major keys in getting your things to sell is having good pictures. Because the picture is what people are looking at. They're not reading the descriptions. They're not reading the keywords that you've chosen in your title most of the time. That helps them search it. But it's the photos that are going to sell your item as opposed to somebody else's.
Yep.
Don't be
What do
like
you
the.
use to
don't be
use
like
to
the
take your
marketplace.
photos, Liz? Sorry, Brendan.
No, you're good.
Oh, my phone.
Just your phone.
So here is, speaking of which, I forgot I got this picture up.
Yeah, let's
Reverse
see.
a little bit to where we told the AI photos. I have this jacket and I told it, put it on this model. I'll
So-
find the original in here in a second.
So
But,
that's
it's-
AI generated.
Yeah, I have a Posh bot and I'm in the beta test for this. They're rolling out these stock photo image generators
That's so cool.
to the sellers that use it.
So that's on Poshmark.
It's a Poshmark. That's the original picture.
Wow.
That you
That's
took
crazy.
in that light box.
Yep. And then
then
that's
you
what
told
I
it
just put it
to-
on. And
That's crazy.
I didn't know you could
yeah,
do that.
so you just upload that picture and you can type in your own prompt or you can just say generate a prompt. And like, it's pretty generic. It's like woman wearing blue crested blazer. And then you can pick full body, upper body, lower body. And then you generate it. And you can keep generating it. It's like, it's still whatever, but
Yeah. I
it'll.
know the AI always messes up like the hands.
Oh, I have a
Yeah.
compilation of fails. Like when this goes live, I'm going to put out the compilation of fails because I have one where her hands are in her pocket and then there's another hand sticking out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
yeah.
It's weird. Like AI doesn't know what to do with like arms and hands.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that
it's
AI
hilarious.
feature you can only use on Poshmark.
No. So it's a bot that I use. It's my share bot.
Oh, for Poshmark.
BOT. Yeah, for Poshmark. And they have, it's also a cross lister, but I don't use them for cross listing.
Mhm.
But their stock image generator is, I'm trying to see if I can find the fails, but I'll be looking forever, right? Because our phones are always filled with lots of pictures. But yeah.
I go through and delete mine as soon as I get them listed. I delete
You
them
delete 'em?
because there's too
That's
much.
smart.
It's
Mhm.
too much.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to do it when I'm like waiting at the airport. I have lots of time. Just go
Yes.
through and get rid of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
had
wonder
like
if there's
5,000
another
on my
like
phone at one
third
time.
party app that does AI stuff like that, because that would be great for like eBay, right?
Yeah.
Like if there was like if we came up with an app where you take a picture of the clothing, you put it on a person, and it could just be Joe's body. That's
I was just saying, we just have Joe model
Every
it.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
every
just-
time.
yeah.
And if
Right.
you want to pay, it could be free, but if you want to pay like additionally, then you can choose other people. But like Joe's like the default model.
Joe,
Yes.
Joe, I'm just gonna send you my stuff. I'm like, man, I need you to model this spaghetti strap top, please.
Yeah, I'll put the lady wig on for you.
The lace cami.
Please.
Right.
Perfect.
Is it like those Barbie pop out dolls where we can just like pin the clothes to little
Yes.
cardboard clothes to the little
Yeah.
doll and then just take a picture?
There you
That's
go.
Yes.
funny. We should have Joe paper dolls. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that idea, Joe. All your little suits.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. And all your
little
wigs.
outfits.
That really is fun.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right, Liz, let's back up just a little bit. I know that
Yeah,
we were talking, but for the people who may not know you, give us like a little brief introduction, because I think your story is fantastic,
Well,
especially
thank you.
retired military, moving into full-time reselling. I always love hearing, retired school teacher, retired military, retired postman, all that stuff. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the world of reselling and partnering with eBay and all that good stuff. So
Yeah. So I always want to say everybody's story is unique, but they're all so similar, right?
mhm.
Mhm.
So I think that collaboratively, us here and anybody listening, has a very similar story. eBay calls him the accidental entrepreneur, which I think most of us are in this community, right? So really quick, I mean, yes, I retired from the Air Force after 23 years. I found eBay when I was on maternity leave with my second son, and heard of this little site. And Krista and I were joking when I was in St. Louis last week, remember the good old days, or were they really the good old days? Because we worked 4 times harder back then.
Yeah.
Right? You take one picture, you get it developed, you upload it. So pretty much I just found it selling off old baby clothes or maternity clothes, and I was getting like triple what I paid for them new. So I was like, hey, this is a really cool part-time gig. And I would use eBay to that was in 2002. So I would just use eBay to make a little bit of money on the side when I had time. Fast forward to 2016, early 2016, and I was preparing to retire from the Air Force. And anybody in the military will tell you, well, this was a couple years ago, so things may have changed, but we have a transition program to where they teach you how to take your military skills and put them into the real world, right? And I just kept looking at jobs, and I had friends that retired out of my career field, and everything was early mornings, weekends, 12-hour days. And I spent 14 of my 23 years carrying 2 cell phones, right? So I was just in high-paced jobs to where it was just constantly answering emails, texts from when we had the old Nokia green screen phones, right? And I was everything, right? And I'm like, man, I think that I can make more money on eBay, because I was part of the eBay community. And I'm like, but other people do it. And damn it, I'm smart. I can do this too. And I think that's what when we're going from part-time to full-time, we have those fears, or some people doubt themselves. And I did too. So I went into my transition assistance program, and we had to do CVs, and I put it on there. He's like, you can't put that on there. I was like, why? I was like, I do fulfillment, I do shipping, I do logistics, I do purchasing agreements. I don't understand why you don't think this is real. And he's like, and this was some Goldman Sachs person that was teaching us about whatever. And so I just whipped out my 90-day calculator. I was like, well, I do this part-time, and here's my numbers. And he's like, leave that on there. Just kidding. He's like, wait a minute, but how do you do that? Right. So it's like, well, I can do this. And I told my husband, I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. So for like my last 9 months, I like double timed it. I was like, I'm going to make this a full-time gig. I'm going to prove it to myself. And I did well. I hustled. And I probably hustled my first year to kind of set everything up. And this has just been my life every day since the end of 2016 when I retired. With that, I buy and sell. It's what we do. And then part of the eBay community through YouTube, through knowing people like Kristen, just meeting other sellers, going to eBay Open. Yeah, well, she's over here on me.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, and I started going to eBay Open, and pandemic hit, and eBay started their up and running grants. And the first year that happened during the pandemic, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to apply for that. And I just last minute, right? I'm like, kept telling everybody, apply for this grant. Last minute, I'm like, oh, I need to apply for it too. Sent it off, forgot about it. Because
what was the grant for again?
So the up and running grant is eBay gives out 50 grants a year, $10,000 a grant.
Wow.
And personalized training.
Oh,
I say personalized training. We do a whole group. eBay Academy is, I think, what they used to call it. I don't know what they call it anymore. But I was fortunate. I got the call. It's like, hey, yeah, you won. Still trying to figure that out, but cool. Yeah. So I took that money. I mean, we were during the pandemic. Think back. Everybody's business is a little bit different. I'm mostly thrifted. And a handful of retail arbitrage, and stores were closed. Thrift stores weren't. I mean, it was kind of that ick factor, whatever. Right. So just the world changed, and it was harder for me to get inventory. So I was able to do the inventory. I was able to, upgrade, get a better scale, get a better printer, computer, whatever to run my business. But throughout the training, I learned to kind of, hey, maybe now I know more about keywords. And one thing just led to another. It just snowballed. It's like, hey, we like what you said. Da, 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 da. We're looking for a seller to represent us on this. I don't know. I can't remember what they called it, but basically I woke up one morning, it was like a broadcast, and I spent 3 hours doing 18 interviews selling eBay during the pandemic on radio stations across whatever. Right. So I mean, just really cool opportunities. They're like, oh, hey, you handled yourself pretty well. You've got a trust factor. Can you interview the CEO at eBay Open? Can you, I mean, just year over year, I feel like my 15 minutes is getting a reset button, and I'm like, I'll ride the wave as long as they let me.
Yeah. I think you've done a really good job doing that, being like an ambassador for sellers.
I try.
So you've done a good job. Okay. So the thing that I think is cool is not only have you had this relationship with them, but I think that you've planted that seed and sparked other people to do things like that too, because I think that meetups are super important. And, Ray's got his meetup coming up. Yeah. The rest of us have all done Boss and just had so much fun. But the local meetup that you did in Colorado is the thing that was. I
just got an email today. You can't even see it. Seller Social, eBay, Nashville, February 13th.
Yeah. I mean, if you go on the eBay page, the event page, you can find out other places, other areas that have these things. You're the one though, Jill, that got me like really invested in the community and wanting to do one in my area. And I think that that's true with Joe too. Didn't you guys? I mean, you've sparked other people to get excited about it and want to do it in other places, because it was such a good event every quarter. I
love doing them. I always say, so yeah, first go out and I don't know what prompted me to start a meetup. Me and friends were having coffee and we're like, if we're this interested in eBay, I know other people are. And that snowballed too, right? And I'm like, I'm one of those people, I'm like, keep asking until they say no. Right. So I'm like, I'll email eBay. I'll be like, will you send somebody out here? Because this is why. And they're like, well, and I'm like, no, you need to come out because these are the reasons, or this is why you need to support it. Or can you, until they say no, I'm going to keep asking. And if they do say no, there's no hard feelings. They're like, no, okay, cool. But yeah, no, I kept pushing, and I just like, I don't know. I like getting together. As I tell people in my meetup, I don't do a meetup because I'm smarter or I know more. I just know how to wrangle people and get them to talk, right? Like, come to the meetup, bring your expertise, and let's all just do a round table, right? Yeah, I can hit eBay up like, hey, I'm going to be talking about this. Can I get more information to share? So I do use my access to teach people or to share, but that's not always the case. So like our last meetup, we met at the library for an hour. We talked about keywords. I found kind of a back way to, I've been meaning for months to get that together. Found a way to find out keywords to use in your listings and without paying for it. And we just all went around the table and shared how we did it. And then we went to the Mexican restaurant and had margaritas and nachos.
Yes. I'm talking about.
We called it the mullet meetup. It was business up front, party in the back.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Oh, that's funny. You do have a really good way of conveying the information though, with like charisma and excitement. Like, oh my gosh, not most people don't go to a meeting and be like, we will now be discussing keywords. Wow. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's keywords. This is how we're gonna do it.
Maybe because I'm a little bit hyper. Like I raised 2 boys, right? We got as parents, we find ways to like, okay, how can we get them to do or to listen? And it's just the way that my kids responded. So when I taught them something, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys found this really cool thing. It's called Clean Our Room.
Yeah.
I did that too. I did that too with
Yeah.
my car.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
see? I mean, my
your
kids
game
responded.
names. Yeah.
It was just, yeah.
Mhm.
And there's
That's
no
great.
no wrong way to do it, because some people are probably like, whoa,
Slow it down.
simmer
Back
down.
it up.
Not bring it back a notch. And that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I get that. I'm sure that I'm a lot for a lot of people too. So
No. We
It's all
just
right.
attract our people, right? It's not right or wrong. It's just who we connect with.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
When you won that grant, Liz, like what went through your head? And were you like, whoa, why'd they pick me? Was it like
I'm
Like, we
pretty
were
sure
like,
that they had
whoa.
to edit out the part of what I really said, because I'm pretty sure I said, ain't no way.
yeah.
Really? That's what went through my head. Because, so I got a call. Well, I got an email that said, hey, we have some follow-up questions to your application that was unclear. Can you jump on a Zoom
Uh-huh.
tomorrow at 9 a.m. or whatever time, right? But it was like,
What kind of
can you jump on
questions
a
were
Zoom
on the
tomorrow morning?
application?
What's that?
What kind of questions were on the application? If you could remember.
There was a lot.
Okay.
Really, who you are,
Uh-huh.
talk about yourself as a seller, how you would use the money, and what eBay means to you. So I leaned in a lot on community, things that we've talked about.
Mhm.
I've leaned in on the meetup, and I was very specific on my application, like, how would you spend this money? So what I went, this is my brain working, right? I go to, because I overthink everything. Some people are like, oh, I was like, no, I'm just an overthinker. I went to the terms and conditions and I scrolled down and it's like, how do they weigh this? 60% is weighed on how you're going to spend the money.
Wow.
30% is weighed on. So I was like, okay, so now I know what I need to really drive home, right? So that heavily weighted area is where I just went deep. I personally think being in the military and having to write, annual reports and be very bulleted and specific helped me, just because I had to write those kind of things. But I was just very specific, like, hey, out of this, X amount's going to be set aside for taxes, because it's a grant. They're going to give me money, but it's also income. So you have to pay taxes on it.
Mhm.
So it's like, X amount's going to be reserved for taxes, which leaves me, and I just said 8,000. Out of those 8,000, I plan on spending 4,000 on inventory, because I haven't been able to source, and this is going to be able to let me buy more in bulk to set me up and get me back on track. This much is going to be for office equipment for efficiency that will save me 25% of my time during my day, so that I can list more to reach my goal of blah, blah, blah. I just did that. So yeah, so they're like, hey, we just have some clarification. I was like, man, okay. So I got on, and it wasn't to clarify, it was to tell me I won.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I don't know what I missed, but okay. And I got on,
Mhm.
and it was Rebecca Michaels, which is the head of community. Yeah. They're like, hey, so about your thing, yeah, you won.
So
Nice.
cool.
What? Yeah. And it's really cool to go back, because eBay's done this every year since 2020.
Hmm.
You didn't mention that the other money that you're not going to spend on inventory is going to margarita and nachos.
Margaritas. and
What?
nuts.
No. That's called community engagement.
Yeah,
There you go.
There you go.
You
how you
have
hide
to,
it.
mullet
how you hide it.
meetups.
You're
Yeah.
looking at it all wrong there.
Yeah.
Looking at it all wrong.
What did those classes that you took once you won the I can't remember what you called it.
Yeah, I want to see if it's still up here. I'm gonna Google it really
What
quick.
did you learn? Did you learn anything that you took and actually implemented into your business, or was it like, I already know all this stuff, or just hearing it from them in like a different way kind of got your juices flowing?
So I think especially I feel that I've been doing this a long time, and I get stuck in my ways sometime, and I'm like, this is the right way, and it's the only way, right?
Yeah.
Because this works for me. And I'm pretty confident in my skills in doing that. However, I just got to learn a little more, like, more up-to-date stuff at the time. It's like, well, is a solid white background really 100%? Like, do you have to really have that anymore? No, it's evolved. We can just do other colors, and it's still going to show up in Google Shopping. And really just having people to ask questions to, like, uh, going through the listing process, like, yes, item specifics are important, and here is why. Yes, your title matters, structure, and this is why it's changed. And really just data on, like, is accepting returns going to improve your sales? And really just different ways to think outside the box. And really, that's what really sparked my interest in testing things.
That's what I love about you. Not only when you test it, you share, like, okay, this is what I did. And especially when you were talking about the promoted listings, you did the, there's a couple different ways to do the promoted listings. And you tried what was it? What's the other one called?
Okay, they changed the name, so it's not called this anymore, but Promoted Listing Advance.
Yeah.
What is it? Promoted Goal. I can't even remember what it's called anymore.
Yeah, but you tested it, and whenever I first saw it, I was like, that is not for me. But I love living vicariously through you as you test things.
And you know what? That test showed me that I need to be mindful, right? Yeah. But this is what I love about eBay and reselling is there's no one size fits all. There's just not. What I do could be completely different than what Brenda does, right? It doesn't make one of us right and one of us wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you use
there's some things that we have to do, right? I mean, that makes sense, but
yeah. Do you use different colors on your background? Because I know when eBay gave away those light boxes, they included like 4 different colors, like the green and red and stuff. Do you do that with your clothing?
You know what? I'm grandfathered into like the first year of photo room, so I'm never getting rid of it because it's super for me. So I just go through, I do the bulk, and I do white, shadow, apply to all, because it's time consuming, right? If I were to pick and choose, there are certain items where I've tested it out on. I'm like, is it really going to make a difference? And it really depends on what you're selling, right? For the 99% of mine are just a plain white background, but I've done, like, I had some Kim Kardashian energy drinks that I got on clearance for like 5 cents. And I was like, why not? Right. Yeah. And I did a colorful background for those because I wanted it to stick out. Right. Everybody had a stock photo. So as you search for them on eBay, everybody's a stock photo with a white background. I'm like, I want to stick out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was a testing thing. Am I going to do it for everything? No. Would I do it for things that I think it would really help it sell faster and for more money? Absolutely. But I'm about time and efficiency.
Yeah. I know that, was it Renzi was saying that they use a different color background for each different month. That way they knew how long each item, because I think they did only shoes, right? So if you're doing all shoes with red backgrounds, you know that you listed those in January. So when, April comes around.
What happens if the shoes are red?
I don't know. I didn't ask that question. That's probably a great question to ask. Maybe they put the shadow behind it or something, or I don't know. But they knew how long they'd had that in their inventory, so they knew how to reduce it when it came time to it. Or if it hung around 6 months, how much longer to reduce it, and maybe also help them know maybe I don't pick up those shoes next time because it took 7 months to sell. So I do think backgrounds are a great way to enhance your photos and your product, but also little tips like that to help you maintain your inventory. That's kind of cool. I never thought about that.
I love that.
Yeah, that's one of those things, like, that's smart.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I would have never thought of that, but also I know that I will take pictures and then just be like, oh, I'll list this later. I'll be like, wait, but I took the pictures in January. I didn't list it till March.
Well,
right. And
yeah,
kind of like the background pictures. I mean, that's smart. That works for them. It's not right or wrong. It just works for them. Yeah. And so many sellers do their inventory different, right? I found one that worked for me. Some people are like, because I don't bag my items individually and give them individual SKUs. I just throw them in the tote, and I just know that it's in tote 58, right? I'm not that organized. Some people are like, it's the only way I can function, and that's great.
Yeah. The way their brain works.
My stuff is all over the place, but at the same time, I know exactly where it is.
That's crazy, Brendan. I just
Yeah,
don't.
Yeah, that is crazy, Brendan. Especially you doing it full time. And how many listings do you have?
I don't really have that many right now, but like even when I have more, I just like I know it's in like a box that I remember like what the shape of the box was like, and I remember I put it like to the side somewhere.
Wait, do you have like a certain room that you do this out of, or is it just in your whole house, or do you work out of a storage unit? I don't know how you do this, Brendan.
I do it. It's in my basement,
Oh, okay.
so it's not like a huge area, but like it's still. I mean, I got enough room for more stuff than I should have, but yeah, I still know where. Like I don't do SKUs or anything on my listings. I just know where it's at.
Yeah, I don't have SKUs.
I have to.
Yeah, I have to. I forget.
Yeah. Or I would have to dig and it would take me long. You know, I've had like 4 different inventory systems. I mean, just had to.
You've had 4
grow
different
everything.
ones?
Do you like this one the best, I'm assuming? Since
Yeah.
you're still okay.
It
What were
works
some
for
of the
me
ones
now.
that failed?
Well, they didn't fail. All
They
of them
just
were
didn't work for
perfect.
you.
I just grew.
Yeah.
And with each step of growth, I needed something a little more. So I used to call myself the 2-tote seller. When I did this part-time, like very part-time, I had 1 tote of unlisted and 1 tote of listed.
Mhm.
I mean, this was back when like we could auction everything off on a Sunday and it was just going to sell.
100%, all of it, every time.
So there was no, I need to hold on to this for 6 months. It was a week by week basis, right? I would list on a Sunday evening. It would sell on a Sunday evening. I'd ship it off on Monday and we're done
Sheesh.
with the game.
Mhm.
But I probably only had like 60 or 80 listings at the time, which was a lot because
That's a lot.
auction and everything sold.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, that's a lot of
I mean, it was. But also, I mean, not everything sold the first time. So we'll do that. But I could also spend up, and I lived in, when I got more serious about it, I was in DC and I could spend up and find really nice things. So I would spend $50 on a sweater and sell it for $350.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how I did. I went for the higher ROI stuff because I didn't have time and I didn't have space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I knew the kind of seller that I needed to be. We moved here. I started getting more serious. I was in the spare bedroom upstairs, and this was our spare bedroom. And it was just the smallest room in the house. And I just had, jeans in 1 tote, sweaters in 1 tote, whatever. And then as I grew, I'm like, now I have 6 totes of jeans, and now I got to look at every single tag.
Yeah.
And it just got to be too much. So I'm like, I need to do, and then, so I moved down here, and this used to be clothing racks. I would have 2 stacks, and I just put all the clothes in alphabetical order by brand. That worked until it didn't, because I got to be over 800, and I'm like, it's just too much.
Yeah.
So I had to change the way I did inventory again.
Why'd you decide to get into clothes or like fashion? Has you just always been into it, or you just enjoy doing it?
No, I don't enjoy. I'll back up.
Right.
No, so I started off selling my kids' clothes and toys, and then I sold off my maternity clothes. And the only thing I knew it when I first started was kids' clothes. So I did a lot of kids' clothes. This was back in the heyday. If any of your, I don't want to say older, but legacy sellers were legacy sellers.
Experienced sellers, yeah. Uh-huh.
Just those, whoever was around in the 90s and 2000s, right?
So
The
Gymboree,
heyday of
didn't you?
Gymboree. Oh gosh, the Jim Bucks and the Gymboree and the Hannah Anderson, and back when those always sold for triple whatever. And then I was on the eBay community boards before there were Facebook groups, before YouTube reselling, before Instagram was a thing. I mean, eBay community is still around, but this was back before.
Yeah. When that's all there was.
When that's all there was. And then I just saw a lot of people doing clothing, and I'm like, well, I can learn clothing. A, I had limited space, so it was small.
Yeah.
B, they're easy to ship. I don't need a box, right? You just fold the t-shirt and put it in a bag and we're good. And that's why I chose it. And I mean, it's a constant learning curve.
Yeah.
Just like antiques and collectibles will cycle through, or music will cycle through. It's the same thing with clothes. You're going to have your trending stuff, which is going to go fast. And then you're going to have your staples, which is just always going to sell.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be in season or on point, this, most trendy item. It's what I
Right.
kind of like about it.
Yeah.
What are some clothing items right now that you've seen that are like, oh wow, this is selling? Like you started picking up because it's fashionable or trendy, Y2K or 90s, early 2000s. Like what is? Give us some bolos. Give us some value here, Liz.
Yeah, I am. Let me see. So outdoor gear, being in
Oh.
Colorado, I mean, look at your outdoor, learn. I've met sellers that have been selling for 20 years and I'm like, oh yeah, I sold this smart wool sweater for $65. They're like, what's a smart wool?
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of assume that it's been around forever, right? And some people just don't know it.
Yeah.
So I always pick up a good wool item. So outdoor wear, outerwear, and really, I don't know. I like sweaters and blazers. Those are my favorite thing to picture. They're my favorite thing to sell. Really, I just go for the tops. Why? Because they're easy. Some jeans. Yeah.
Jeans are hard because everybody has to, jeans are very personal.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
all so different and the sizes are just crazy. It feels like they're all over the place. A top, you can just throw it on and if it fits, it doesn't have,
It's good enough.
Yeah.
And some
Yeah.
jeans, like they like make them to mold to your.
Yeah. Some people
your
like
body
stretch.
type.
Some people don't like stretch. Some people want, you want them
Right.
tapered, don't want them tapered. Everybody's got a different waist. Everybody's got a different butt. And they fit. It'd
Yeah.
be different if they were all like sweatpants. Sweatpants are so much better because they fit all different sizes. Jeans
Mhm.
don't.
No, they don't.
I just paint my jeans on every day.
There you go.
Don't worry about it.
What kind of butt do you
Yeah.
got, Joe?
What?
Yeah,
That's
you guys, I swear.
But when I do go, I know some brands, but I go off of material and style
Yeah.
when I can. So I'll do I don't go to the bins that much simply because I pass 20 great thrift stores on my way, right? I have like this ADD thing. And then I get to the bins and I'm like, my brain just tells me what's at the next thrift store, right? If I don't find great stuff within the first 10 minutes, I'm bored and I want to go to the next store.
You've
Yeah.
got really
It's
great
still-
thrift stores around you.
I
though.
do.
So, I mean, it really does help that there's not only do you have good thrift stores, you have a plethora of
do.
thrift stores. So
And they're big
really
ones. Yeah, we've got a lot of big thrift stores.
What's your favorite one
between-
to shop at?
It's a toss up, and I'm not going to lie. People are going to burn me and turn this off, but Goodwill here is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Don't burn me at the stake, but I find a lot of great stuff at Goodwill, regular Goodwill store. We've got a great Goodwill outlet. We've got like 5 or 6 Goodwill stores, and then Arc Thrift Store, which was at Remix.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But they are a Colorado chain thrift store. They actually just opened one in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I heard that.
But they're
Yeah.
mega huge thrift stores, and I love it because they do seasonal. And so like during Halloween, a lot of costumes come out. Well, what they consider costumes is also vintage
Mhm.
stuff. So I've found so much Halloween stuff
Mhm.
during those. Coming up in February, they do a 99-cent sweater sale. And it's
That's
like 1 or
also
2
a
days.
really great sale. Yeah.
And I'll buy. So those are my 3 favorite stores. And then I have some retail arbitrage spots that I hit to where, the managers have my number.
I
Because
love
like
that.
Kristen said, I just like to
Gotta
talk to
build those
people. And I'm like, hey,
relationships.
yeah, I'll get a text. It's like, hey, get here before open tomorrow, or make sure you're first in line and make sure you head to this section because I'm marking all these down. So
Yeah.
I'm a seller that when I go out, I'll go out all day. I just like to buy a lot at once because I don't like to go shopping. Like I've been doing this too long.
She goes to town. She's like, bring me
Yeah,
the good stuff.
Yep.
What's the most you ever spent in a day?
Oh gosh.
Like you're like, oh man, you look back and you're like, I spent like 10 grand today.
Probably
Use that whole eBay
2,500.
grant.
3 grand.
25?
Yeah. But and everybody has their own thing. I don't set a shopping budget.
I
can make
do.
In my brain, it's, if I'm going to make the money, I'm going to make the money. I'm
Yeah.
not going to just spend money because I have a budget,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to hold back if there's a good opportunity in front of me.
I have a budget, but I have changed my budget over the years. But like for a long time, I would go to the bins and I would only spend $40. I'm not going to spend more than $40. So that forced me to pick my best items, the ones that were going to get me the highest ROI. So
Right.
I had to edit like a lot. But now if I think it's something that I want to pick up anyway, I'm just going to pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't
some
restrict myself as much anymore.
some people that are listening, they're just starting off, they have to have a budget.
Absolutely.
Until they start making some good money,
Yeah.
it's like $40. This is all I can spend today is $40.
$40 was a lot for me to
Absolutely.
spend. Yeah.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
the best. That's like if you have a budget like that, that's best to start at the bins. If you have a bins by you,
Yeah.
you know, 'cause
Yep.
you get stuff for cheap and you can get a lot of it. So
I remember one time my brother-in-law and I were just garage selling, and we had a budget. We're like, okay, I'm only going to spend $100. He's only going to spend $100. We come in to a garage sale, and the dude has like video games, right? And he was an eBay seller that was getting out of it. And he's like, guys, I have so much stuff that I just want to get rid of. And he takes us up to his attic where it's all like, he's got his listing station, he's got a shipping station, and like all of his inventory. And it's all really good video game stuff. He's like, I just want to get rid of everything. It's like, here's the number. Here's the stuff that I'm selling. It's like, would you guys buy it all? And we're like, oh snap. Like, we weren't prepared for this. So we go back, we're like, well, let's talk about it. We go back into the truck. We're like, okay, man, it's like they have this many items. It's like they want this much. It's like we break it down. It's like, this is how much everything is going to cost. So we split it down the middle. It's this per person. It's like, what do you think? And we're like, all right, let's do it. And so we did it, and we just bought all of his inventory, and we made really good money out of it, which took a long time to sell and, clean stuff. But most of the stuff was already ready to list because he's had it for a long time and was getting out of it. But yeah, having a budget, but then also being able to break that budget when opportunity comes. I think is
Ray,
or if you even can.
Ray, how much did you spend? Did you guys spend for all those video games?
I think it was like $4,000, so it was like 2,000 a piece. But he had like, and it was like, I think it was like right before 2020.
Oh,
Like when it hit, and we still
man,
had
the video
the
game
majority
craze.
of the stuff not listed when 2020 hit. And I remember selling like dumb stuff like Wii Sports for like $70. And at the time when we bought it, it was like maybe 15. You could have got $15 out of it. Like we probably like 10x'd everything that we bought. Like I bought, like, there was like a Wii system still in the box that I think I sold for like $400. That like, it was just, at the time it was unprecedented.
Yeah.
well, yeah. 2020 was a good year if you were a reseller.
You're a reseller.
Yeah.
If you were already
You had, like,
established in it, you were ready
Puzzles, video games, workout equipment,
I remember like those Wii, what do you call those? The balance boards. Like they weren't worth much before that, and then that 2020 hit, and man, I was selling those things for like $35, $40 a piece, and like I could not keep.
to go.
Because that was like two things, right? It was the exercise equipment and it was like video game related stuff.
Yeah,
So.
and I sold so many of those things, and now they're like paperweights. You can't even get rid of them.
Oh yeah, you can't
Yep.
get rid of it.
On the flip side to that, I
Ooh, I
think
see what you did there.
yeah, on the other side of that, I had some shoes that I just bought at the end of 2019 that I was gonna get around to getting listed, and I hadn't got there yet, and they were really nice, like dancer shoes, like
Ballroom dancing.
no,
Like
mm-mm.
Pleasers
like
brand?
Exotic
strippers.
Yeah, right. Like old dancer kind. They were really nice shoes, but nobody was going to any strip clubs, and so nobody was buying. Nobody had a reason to buy these shoes, so I got stuck with. That was the only thing that I could not unload during that year. Is just
Did they have goldfish in them, like the platforms with the water?
no, but the platform was like huge, and Yeah.
She still has
We'll
them.
talk about some of that in After Dark, maybe.
There you go.
Maybe we'll.
I heard
I've
that
got a-
those shoes sell well, right?
Yeah, they do. They really do sell well. And I probably had, I don't know, 30 pair of them. I had a lot. Somebody,
Why do you,
Why do you have?
But
You
now-
go to like the
Wow.
landing strip outlet or something?
no, I was at the
Like the
bin.
stripper
I was
outlet?
at the Goodwill outlet, and they brought out a whole brand new shoe bin, and I was like, these are really cool. And so I bought all of them. And I'll just let you know, platform shoes are heavy. So I spent a lot of money on
Oh,
them.
I have a pair on my death pile to list. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, they sell well. They usually sell pretty quickly. And they were a great size. They were like an 8.5. They were great. And I ended up donating them all like towards the end of the year, because I was like, we'll never get to do this kind of stuff again. So I threw it away.
that's funny. So real
much-
quick, Liz, I wanted to touch base on this before we get out of here.
Mhm.
So you were able to speak at the 2024 eBay Open, and you spoke on, what was it? Enhancing your store's visibility,
Yes.
right? So can you give us a little bit of like some nuggets here at the end of the podcast of how to enhance your eBay store's visibility?
Yeah, you're gonna make me go and look at my notes, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
No,
Would you
so
say,
I mean,
Liz, would you say that you were like really close to eBay? Like, do you come with, like, are you like the liaison to eBay? Like, if we were like, Liz, you need to tell eBay to get their crap together. You know, this is happening to me. And then you like go to eBay and you're like, hey guys, listen, Ray's pitching a fit about this. You need to figure it out.
yeah. So if I see something like wild in the community, or like a fire brewing over rumors,
Your like
or
representation.
right, I know that I can, and I do not abuse this privilege that I have, because I know it's a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a privilege, so I will use it when I need it, but also I can't just like call or email about everything, right?
Yeah.
But when I see a problem, I can definitely do it. Yeah. So and when I go to eBay headquarters, we talk with different teams for 3 days about what's working and what's not, and we can talk about that later. Or
Yeah, we'll
whatever,
talk about
if
it
you
later
want
for
to.
sure. Because I got some bones to pick with eBay, and hopefully the community does too. So we got some
Probably,
notes.
but I mean, but a lot of the time, people will ask me something and I can find the answer, or I can make sense of it. And sometimes I can't, because there was a case yesterday where I was like, hey, this doesn't make sense. And it's like, nope, do this. And I was like, oh yeah, that totally made sense. I didn't think about that.
Mm.
But yeah, so enhancing your eBay store, I mean, it's really cool that eBay reaches out to sellers that they see in the community, and they're like, hey, can you talk? And there goes my dog. Can you talk about this? She wants to talk about it. I'm sorry. 1 second.
Oh, you're fine.
We don't even hear her.
Yeah, we don't even hear. her.
Barely. Yeah, barely hear.
Barely.
Okay, let me know. She's older. She's got like a little quiet bark. She wants her belly rubbed. So anyways, I get to go. I get to present on it. She's going to stop in a minute. But really, I get to come up with my own content, and then eBay just checks it for accuracy.
Nice.
They're like, you write it, you present it, you tell us what you want in a slide, and we'll have the professionals get your slides together. And
Wow, that's
That's it.
fancy.
so, I mean, really, when you see and eBay's got their playlist on the eBay YouTube site, you can go to the playlist. And so every seller wrote their own content, and
Mhm.
eBay just said yes or no, as far as this is true, or you can't say this because it's not accurate.
And
Other
this
than
is
that,
available on eBay's website. Like if people want to watch your actual
On YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just go to I just Google eBay Open YouTube playlist.
Okay. We'll link it
And
down
that'll-
below so you guys can watch
Yeah.
Liz's full video. But what are some nuggets there, Liz, that you can give us?
So here's my thing. There's a lot, but the core to any eBay listing is your title and your pictures and your item specifics and just a good description, right? Doesn't matter what category you're in. Make sure that's just the basics. But to enhance it, make sure you're using appropriate keywords. One of the ways, quick way that I use is I just right click on my picture when I'm listing, Google image search, and the top ones that come up, they've got the keywords. If it's on Nordstrom spends millions of dollars. They know what they're doing. I will use their keywords, right?
So you put keywords in the title, in the description. Where are we putting these keywords?
So on eBay, the description's not searchable unless a buyer goes and clicks that button to search the description. There's a caveat to that.
Uh-oh.
We lost her.
What'd you do, Ray?
I didn't do
What did you
anything.
do?
She just
Going
popped out.
on.
Maybe her computer or something died.
Maybe the dog unplugged it.
Maybe
The dog.
Right?
Did she time out?
The dog really needed the attention.
I'll tell you what. So this is what we'll do. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We will resume when Liz comes back at the After Dark episode. So if you want to hear more on how to enhance your store's visibility, come check out the After Dark episode, and we'll talk about how Liz is our representation of the people for eBay, and I got some bones to pick with
And
eBay.
we'll talk about platform.
Yes. So my name is Ray.
I'm Kristen.
I'm Joe.
I'm Brendan.
We'll catch you on the flip side. And guys, make sure to follow Liz, Colorado Reworn, and all of her stuff will be linked out down in the description below. See y'all. God bless. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of This Week in Reselling.